day the sun expands. Welcome to the end of the world.
Do you ever sit at home and wonder, I wish I could travel 5 billion years in the future and see the expansion of the sun killing the Earth? Well, now you can. Yes, that's right, everybody. Today we'll be reviewing the second episode of the first series of the rebooted series, back from 2005, called The End of the World. Now, as tradition on this channel, we will start the review with a short recap. In the second episode, the Doctor and Rose travel 5 billion years into the future. They arrive on an observation ship to witness the expansion of the sun, thus resulting in the destruction of planet Earth. As soon as they arrive, they are greeted by the steward, who goes on to introduce us to the other guests on board. Among the guests are the Face of Bo, the Mox of Balhoun, the Forest of Cheem T, adherent of the repeated meme, Jabe, and Cassandra, the last human. Rose gets overwhelmed and escapes into one of the other observation rooms where the Doctor and her have an argument about his origins and the purpose of their trip. All of a sudden there is a slight turbulence as a result of the mainframe having been tampered with by unknown metal robots resembling spiders. The robots manage to disable the sun filter and the protection shield, rendering the ship defenseless against the extreme heating of the sun expanding. This causes the steward to fry, leaving the remaining passengers frightened. Upon discovering this, the Doctor and Jabe go to investigate. They make their way into the air conditioning unit where the Doctor catches one of the robots. Meanwhile, the adherent of the repeated meme have knocked out Rose and abandoned her in one of the observation rooms, locking the door shut. Soon after, the sun filter begins to descend, but before it hits Rose, the Doctor manages to revert the system using the sonic screwdriver, saving Rose. The Doctor then returns to the remaining passengers, and we discover that the robots are controlled by the adherent of the repeated meme. However, they turn out to merely be headless soldiers operated by Cassandra. Cassandra is planning to kill all the guests due to her having shares in their rival companies, causing her to profit from their deaths. She then teleports away from the ship, leaving everyone in panic, except the Doctor and Jabe. They return to the air conditioning unit, where Jabe manages to switch off the system by force so that the Doctor can enter through and make it to the reboot switch at the opposite end. However, this causes her to burn due to the heating. And at the last second, right before the ship is destroyed, the Doctor manages to save the day. He returns to the other guest and brings back Cassandra, only to let her creak and explode. The guests return home, and the Doctor and Rose return to the TARDIS to travel on into new adventures. Alright, that's a short recap of the episode. Now let's get into the review. First of all, I think we should talk about the villain of the week, which in this case is Cassandra. Now, we haven't been introduced to Cassandra before this episode. However, she does appear once more in the series during the second season in the episode New Earth, along with the Face of Bo. In this episode, we get to know her a bit better, and we come to find out why she is the way that she is. She misses being beautiful and adored. This has caused her to retract and become bitter and pessimistic. Now, the episode New Earth also ends with Cassandra's actual death, but this time it's in a beautiful and touching way. Now, let's get more into this specific episode. My favorite scene is definitely the Doctor's two speeches, both in the beginning of the episode and in the end. I said it in my last review, but Eccleston just has a way with words and speeches, and he's just, I get goosebumps, I really do. In the beginning, where he's talking about, you humans think you're gonna die from spaghetti toast or whatever he says, it's amazing, it's iconic.
You lot, you spend all your time thinking about dying, like you're gonna get killed by eggs or beef or global warming or asteroids. But you never take time to imagine the impossible, that maybe you survive.
And the ending of this episode, where he talks about how none of it's, meant to last forever, and that we think everything's going to be around forever, but it's not. And he talks about how his species is gone and how he's the last one remaining. And it's just, you can sense the realness of this clip. You can sense how the feelings are just so vivid. You can sense how Eccleston is really putting a lot of feeling into portraying this damaged soul.
I'm a Time Lord. I'm the last of the Time Lords. They're all gone. I'm the only survivor. I'm left traveling on my own because there's no one else.
However, my least favorite scene of this episode is definitely Jabe's death. It just seems so pointless and unnecessary. I feel like it's one of those things that was just, it's a scene that was created for the shock effect. Let's kill a character so that people will sense how real of a danger there is in this episode. I feel like it's kind of like if we didn't see her die, we'd be confused about how serious the situation is, which doesn't add up in my opinion. But it's one of those, another shock deaths like Adric. Hashtag remember Adric. Now, I'm also saying this because I really love the character of Jabe. Now, Jabe is played by the amazingly talented Yasmin Bannerman, who was also featured in the Torchwood episode They Keep Killing Susie as the sarcastic officer Swanson, who's trying to help the team. She does an amazing job. She's an amazing actress, and I loved her as Jabe in this episode. It really brings a lot of heart and emotion to this episode, especially considering how Rose in this episode is constantly whining, I feel like. She's just bitching. She's just like, oh, I'm so far away from home. I don't know what to do. And we need that human interaction. We need to feel like there's someone on board the ship that has compassion, that has, humanity. And to me, that's Jabe in this episode. Now, this is also the first introduction to the face of Bo that we later learn in season 3 is supposed to be Captain Jack Harkness that we're introduced to later in this season. But I feel like it's one of those cheap shots made by Russell T Davies. I don't feel like it makes sense that technically does make sense that Captain Jack would be the face of Bo, but I just feel like it's way too convenient to say, oh, the face of Bo is definitely Captain Jack Harkness. But yeah, we're introduced to the face of Bo that we also see 2 more times in the series in the episode New Earth and the episode Gridlock from season 2 and 3. The face of Bo is a great character in my opinion. He's very sort of mystic and we don't get to know a lot about him in the same sense as the Doctor. I feel like the Doctor and him relate a lot to each other in that regard. They're the last of their species and they're very mysterious and we don't know much about their origin story, and we know they're thousands of years old, but we don't really know where they're from. And it's just, he's a great character, but I feel like he should have had more screen time in this episode. He's sort of kind of neglected, I feel like, and used as a plot tool later on in the series, but I feel like he's a great character that should have had more screen time. Now, let's get into the rating of this episode. As is tradition, we will be rating the episode in TARDISes. Now, I will give this episode 4 out of 5 TARDISes, just like last week, because it's a great episode. There's a lot of really great moments in this episode, but I feel like because of Rose's constant complaining in this episode, it only gets 4 out of 5. However, this is actually also the episode that made me fall in love with the show. The first episode of Doctor Who I ever watched was Rose, and I watched that episode and thought, this is kind of cool. Let's see what this series is all about. And then in the second episode where they go to the future and see the expansion of the sun and the Earth being destroyed, that's what made me fall in love with the show. However, that's all I had to say about the episode, man. I loved it, but it could have been a little bit better. The little guest cameo appearance by Camille Dory as Jackie Tyler was fantastic.
What day is it?
Wednesday, all day. You got a hangover? Oh, I tell you what, put quid in that lottery syndicate. I'll pay you back later.
But yeah, man, that's all. It's definitely one of those episodes that you can watch again and again, I feel like. But let me know what you think in the comment section below this video, and I will see you guys next week with a review of the episode The Unquiet Dead. That should be exciting. All right. Take care, guys. See ya. Bye.